Hey, Ivan. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Welcome back to the show.
I'm
I'm
doing well. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're good. I was gonna say your mic is like where usually is right in front of you. Hey man, so what's going on in markets? What are you looking at, and how you been doing?
I'm well, and then I look at dollar bearish and Aussie rising.
Dollar bearish. Please enlighten me. What's going on with the dollar?
Okay, so first of all, in COVID times, what was my biggest mistake? Holding on to dollar bullishness for too long. So the thing is that what are we gonna do now? We're gonna look for dollar bearishness once the storm is over. So the
Okay.
nuclear storm was market open. Then we will go up, and then we will reduce the risk. So the thing is, it was priced in the beginning, and then now it's just reducing down again.
Okay. So it's not really so in terms of Fed rate hikes and all that sort of stuff. You expect that to kind of fall behind in terms of its initial bullishness.
It's definitely short term. It's
Okay.
definitely in the moment, and it's on different accounts. On my main account is on a different account. So
Okay.
my main account is still dollar bullish, but it's
Okay.
still just for today.
Got it. Okay.
Not for this
Yeah.
week.
So short term, if you want to pull up, what would you like to look at today? We can pull your screen in here. That'd be awesome. And then whatever you're looking at, I'm curious. And then of course I've got to also ask you about gold, just in reference to this. We promised the people that we would take a look at gold together. So what are you looking at today? And explain a little bit of your dollar concept here. So short term, you're bearish on the dollar. What are you looking at to trade that?
Okay, maybe you did not understand my concept, but it's
Maybe
the
I
thing
didn't.
is that I okay. That's one thing, and the other thing is there is FOMC in 2 weeks. I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 weeks prior, there's dollar bearishness, and then the last week to the FOMC meeting, there's dollar bullishness. So right now, I'm playing those two games, and then the other thing is that Aussie seems to be the strongest one, and I do believe, not that I've done too much research about it, it's because when there is war, you need steel,
Interesting.
aluminium, to produce more war equipment because you will lose war equipment. And where do we get that? Australia. Also, it's not really, if there was supposed to be risk on, Australia is kind of the one that's furthest away and is not directly hit by anything by it. It's only benefiting from it. So
Sure.
I'm looking to Australia, and also Australian dollar has now breached higher than from the gap from yesterday. So we have now a new higher high from the market open. So yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, you're right. So Aussie dollar. Can you show that gap on your? I can see it. So you've got that big on the hourly chart, that big drop there. We filled that gap that we opened up on very quickly, and that's actually a really interesting take, Ivan. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because the curious thing about Aussie, right, is it does usually act as that risk on currency, but it's strengthening so much in a risk off environment. So that is very, very peculiar. So I like your theory there. It's been a bit confusing to me too, but that kind of makes sense. It's not super close in terms of the Russia-Ukraine concept. Their biggest trade partners are China and the US. So it's kind of not in touch per se to as much as, Germany is impacted by this. So definitely very interesting.
The other thing is that what do you do when there is war? What do you do when there is risk? So we have some examples in the past as to what we should do, and that's where the research comes in, and what does the market actually do at any given point. And what I've found in, I think, almost 90% of my cases is that market does one very peculiar thing: is it reacts to the news by gap up or just a big candle, peaks out at some kind of target, and then does more than 100% retracement.
When you say the market, do you mean a specific currency? Do you mean the stock market? Which market do you mean?
Oil has mostly been in that, where you have the killing of Soleimani, you have the air attacks on the Saudi Arabian gas pipeline. You have the rockets coming out of North Korea, and also somehow also the trade war with China at some point, where the initial reaction is very strong, very hard, but then it reaches the point it wants to go to, and then it pulls back. And I really want people to learn that whatever the news right now is going to be priced in right now, and then you have to differentiate that with central banking policy, which is way more longer term, and this news that we have right now is very short term, very volatile right now.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I like that. And it's also something, Ivan, I don't have this. I was reading this and I couldn't find the article that I was reading, but there was a study that was done on a lot of invasions that impacted the US as well as not impacting the US. Post invasion, there was actually a stock market rally, which is very interesting because the initial reaction was a sell-off. And now we're seeing stock markets kind of fire back. It's kind of a weird one because you're like, okay, war, that seems like it would be bad for economic output, but it's just an interesting anomaly when you have stock markets drop on the news and then they rally post invasion. It's very, very peculiar.
But you have to understand, this is just short term news, yes, but American economy is still doing a fantastic.
Right.
And this news right now isn't changing that fact, because if there was war against America, that's a whole different ballgame.
Sure.
Then we will see the stock market falling. Then we will see being scarcity. But since it's quote unquote still just internally Europe, but now with the nuclear threat, that might also be able to catch. I think the longest distance is able to catch Washington. Then, of course, as well, all across Europe. Then it becomes more global. But until that happens, markets are actually behaving pretty normal. Is not freaking out, because if it was freaking out, we would now see falling.
Sure. No, you're right. And the fact that it's not falling is kind of a signal in its own. It's like, okay, there's some stabilization here. So Ivan, with everything that you just mentioned, those were some excellent and insightful points. What are you looking at in terms of trades for yourself? Do you have anything open, or do you have anything that you're looking to open? What's kind of your today's update?
My update is I scalp bought the kind of the worst entry I've ever had in my entire life almost. I bought where is the tool? I bought that. I bought the top.
Okay. Hey,
and I went higher.
Yeah, I see.
So I bought Aussie. So that's kind of that's one thing that I'm looking at. That's kind of my update there. Euro, I bought as well around that area.
Okay.
A bit better. Also in profit. And that's kind of how far I've come. I probably should have bought a New Zealand dollar as well, but that is not in my account.
So with euro dollar, where do you see that one going? So you've obviously got that big gap down. I mentioned on my stream that I think short term, I would actually agree with you that euro USD still has upside to fill that gap. What do you think on euro dollar? Where could you see that running to? And kind of where's your target on that?
I have very clear, strict views here. As long as we are in between these two lines of 1270 and 1150, we are kind of in our range, but also that's kind of the hard knockout as to getting out as a buyer and or getting out as a seller. And if we now push below 1150, I will be out of it. And it's a short term. It's just a scalp, and it's just it's not something I talk about too much, but it can develop into something better if Ukraine-Russia war kind of figures itself out. So I am trying to be on a team hope that everything is going to be okay in the end, and then
Sure. And I think that there actually was, again, it doesn't mean anything until it means something, but there was some beginnings to some Russia-Ukraine peace talks, which definitely could be. It doesn't, like I said, peace talks, they've been talking for a long time. So until something kind of tangible comes out of it, it's kind of a rumor. But hey, you know what? Maybe there is something around the corner that could be a little bit more promising for markets.
There is an actual meeting between Russia and
Yes.
Ukraine today,
Right.
at about noon European time. And then the question: is there going to be anything coming out of it? I guess not. And also, so that's one thing for Russia, though, that they have been struggling apparently with fuel, with ammunition, with reinforcement, and now they have time to do that.
Hmm.
And so it's a good side. It's a good thing for Russia as well. So they can also just use this as a tool to push even harder further. But I also believe that I heard somewhere, I don't know where it was, but somewhere at some point somebody went for peace talks and got assassinated.
Interesting. I did not hear that, but that's
They also was supposed to do it yesterday, but did it today instead, because they were fear that they will be assassinated along the way, and it never happened. Also, when the war was declared and when they invaded Ukraine, Zelensky called Russia and Putin didn't answer. So is really Russia into these peace talks? They're just going to make unreasonable claims, and then everything is still back to normal, and they have got a better footing on ground. So I don't have hopes on that, because Putin has broken my trust. I don't believe anything. I believe he can do anything right now, because he actually went into another country and invaded it.
I agree. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like, in terms of volatility, I've actually been kind of making this point. He is the only person that really knows what is going to happen next. There's so much uncertainty with that, and he makes the final decisions. It was like right before he invaded Ukraine, there was like a swing of optimism, and then it just totally reversed. So he's very much unpredictable at this moment. And so, yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. That is definitely, there's not a lot of trust there in terms of promises of what he's saying and what could actually happen. And then I want to follow up also with your Aussie dollar thought, so that one already filled the gap. Where do you see that one going from here? Because you said you're still in your trade. Where's your target on Aussie dollar?
If I can dream, I have a dream. I have a dream of 73.50.
Okay.
But I also have a dream of 72.80. So I'm going to get up there, see how it goes, be break even, and hopefully we'll take it higher.
That makes sense.
There's an RBA meeting tomorrow.
Right. And what's the outlook on that? Have you been keeping up with the RBA recently?
No, not other than that Australia has opened up from COVID restrictions, and we are going to see improvements, but in their economic performance, but also market is kind of more bullish than the actual RBA. RBA is more like neutral, like, wait, we need to see actual data. Right. So this might also just be the market hoping for something good and then be disappointed. So that's why break-even comes in.
Interested in seeing our trades live as they happen? By joining the A1 Trading Discord, you'll get a notification every time one of our traders enters a position. Each trade we share comes with an entry price, a stop loss, and most importantly, a full breakdown of why the trade was taken. Learn alongside our experienced traders, join our active chat room, and ask your questions in our coaching webinars. Between our team of active traders, we trade forex pairs, commodities like gold and oil, crypto, and stocks. By joining the group, you'll be able to keep up with all of it. Sign up today using the link in the description, and don't forget to use our promo code listed below for a special subscriber discount. Thanks for watching, and see you inside.